Thank you for tuning in to the Clay Edwards Show here on the Save Jackson YouTube channel. This is breaking news. Governor Tate Reeves, Mississippi governor, obviously, has declared a state of emergency in advance of the state being hit and affected by Hurricane Francis. Well, it's tropical storm Francis right now, but they do expect it to make landfall as a Category 1 sometime tomorrow. We're going to kind of go through a few things here. Uh, we got a couple press releases or tweets or whatever you want to call it from Tate Reeves. The first one, as you see here, is him declaring a state of emergency. It says, in advance of Tropical Storm Francine, I've declared a state of emergency. This will allow us to mobilize state assets and respond as necessary. Always good to jump in front of it. Tate's actually been really good about this. I've had my disagreements with Tate on some things, obviously, through the through the 20 stuff that happened in 2020 and beyond. But when it comes to natural disasters, I don't think anybody, obviously, other than Haley Barbour with Katrina, I don't think another governor had as much stuff put on his plate in as short of amount of time as Tate Reeves has, and he's done a really, really good job with that. And anybody who says otherwise is just lying. And I've been quite the critic of Tate. And so if I can admit that, I feel like anybody can. I digress. The other one here, we're also going to get to a couple hurricane preparation tips, a few things you may need. Hey, look, man, everybody doesn't know. A lot of people haven't been through this before. So I got a little list together. I'm going to help you guys out with that. A little bit of personal experience from Katrina. I know. Well, we do have some young listeners and viewers here that may not have lived through that, or maybe they just don't know. So anyway, we're going to have some basics for you. And we got a little weather report from WLBT that we'll end this with. It will be outdated probably by the time you view this, but I figure we'll throw it on there anyway because it's got some good information in it. Also, Tate Reeves put out another, let's see if he's got it on Twitter also, instead of having to bounce back to Facebook. He has another tweet out or a post. Here we go, right here. It says, I want to provide an update. This was at 9:30 a.m. this morning, so you may have seen it. I apologize if you have. So I want to provide an update on Tropical Storm Francine, which is expected to form into a hurricane today and impact Mississippi as soon as Wednesday. Severe weather is expected, including damaging winds and flooding. Tornadoes are also possible. Be sure to complete all preparations by tonight. MEMA has deployed over 100,000 sandbags to counties in preparation for the storm and is in contact with local emergency managers. Other state agencies are also on standby to provide resources and respond as necessary. For more information on where to get sandbags and find a shelter, visit msema.org. That's msema.org. That's Mississippi Emergency Management Association. Anyway, msmea.org. And it says, please be weather aware, Mississippi. All right, so look, one thing he mentioned here is about potential tornadoes. You guys may remember Katrina, if you're old enough. We had a lot of tornadoes just south of us in the Pine Belt. So it hit the coast, and man, I'm telling you, like the Hattiesburg, Laurel area, all through there, what we call the Pine Belt here in Mississippi, or here in the landmass, as the Weather Channel refers to Mississippi. Who will ever forget that? Anyway, a lot of tornadoes spun up on the top side of these storms, and it can be really dangerous and really scary. I saw one of the weather guys from WLBT. I actually posted this on my big Facebook page. I'm going to run back to it real quick because he makes a great point about tornadoes. I appreciate you guys watching this. Please hit the share button. Share this with anybody. Send them to them as a text message. Share it to your news feed with anybody who you think could use this information. Hit subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys. You've been supporting this channel big time here lately. All right, here is a good from meteorologist Dave Roberts over at WLBT, who's one of the best to do it, in my opinion. We're actually really blessed here in central Mississippi with some phenomenal meteorologists. I don't know if y'all are aware at just how good we have it here in Mississippi. And we're blessed that these news channels here, while I disagree in a lot of their, we'll call it their politics and the narrative they spin on the news, what they do very well is the weather. And they respect the fact that Mississippi is Tornado Alley and has very bad weather. So let's continue. It says 11 a.m. update. Obviously, this was 5 hours ago. It's 4:30 p.m. now. Says the turn to the northeast has started. Another eastward bump is in the forecast track. Says our weather will be impacted as soon as Wednesday afternoon, more so late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. The key here is that the more eastward movement in the next 24 hours, the better it is for central Mississippi and southwest Mississippi. Still expecting rain and wind, 36% chance of tropical storm force winds in Metro Jackson. If you haven't experienced that, it can be way rougher than you imagine it being. We ended up having a Category 1 hurricane hit Jackson, Mississippi during Katrina. And man, I couldn't imagine having to experience much worse than that. It was really bad. Continuing on, he goes, last night the track was over the Mississippi River, and I explained on WLBT3 why I felt a more eastward track is likely to evolve. The new track is centered on I-55, but a shift closer to I-59 is possible. Normally, I say don't focus on the exact track because weakening tropical systems act a lot different after landfall. I'll say it again with one caveat. Once this storm makes landfall, it will fan out and have a wide-reaching effect such as winds, rain, and tornadoes. But again, as I've been saying all along, areas farther west of the track will see less impacts. I apologize for all the notifications there. The worst part of a hurricane is on the north and east side where there is forward momentum. That's what I was trying to tell y'all. I couldn't remember which directions he said. It's the north and east side where you have forward momentum. Tornadoes, tropical storm force winds, and rainfall up to 4 to 8 inches are likely in the forecast cone, especially along the north and east track, which is much of Mississippi at this point. Prepare now by making sure your devices are powered up, secure loose objects, have extra supplies such as non-perishable food and water as a general rule of thumb. He doesn't keep less than a half a tank of gas in his car during hurricane season regardless. I filled mine up this morning. I highly recommend getting onto the gas stations and getting your vehicles filled up. If you have a generator, get those gas cans filled up. It's not going to be terrible up here in central Mississippi, but we could end up without power for a couple of days, and nobody wants to deal with that any more than they have to. All right, let's exit out of Facebook. I'm tired of hearing all the dinging. I got a little list here. Here are some items that you may find important that you can run out and grab, and you won't break the bank. And this is all stuff that you can keep or obviously reuse. I just got this from the National Weather Service, and I got some shortcuts or that I can help you with too. It says obviously food and water. Now, I keep MREs, which is like 30-year bags of food like they use in the military. I try to keep a 30-day supply on hands at all time. If you're interested in that, I used to have a link that you could order from that they would give me a little kickback. I'm not worried about that. I'll send you that link, or you can Google meals ready to eat, storm preparedness, whatever. But what will work in the short term for you is instant mashed potatoes. That's right. There's a little bag of instant mashed potatoes that are all the different flavors. You know, they're not much, $1.29. Maybe they've gone up. I haven't bought any in a while. I've got a little stockpile from before I quit eating carbs on a regular basis anyway. And all you need is water, preferably warm. But in a pinch, just pour a little bottle of water. I think it's 2 cups of water to 1 bag of the mashed potatoes, and it'll load you up with carbs, give you energy, and put something in your stomach. Is it going to be great? No, but trust me, it could be worse. Like I said, that's a little cheat code is the word I'm looking for. Obviously, keep your gas tank full. We just discussed that. If you have any medicines or prescription medicine that's up for refills, go ahead and grab them today. I went by the drugstore myself and got my daughter's prescriptions filled, and it was pretty brisk in there. They were moving on through. Brandon Discount Drugs is always packed, but it was a little thicker than normal for 2:00 in the afternoon. Radio, batteries, and phone chargers. I'll tell you something else that I have, and I don't know that you can get them this late in the game, but InfoWars, Alex Jones' website, sold these 100-hour candles that are really good. They weren't expensive. I think they were like $6 each. They don't put off a scent or anything like that, but it's almost like a little small, and I'm just kerosene or whatever, whatever, like lighter fluid. I don't know if it's like lighter fluid. I don't think it's that flammable. Anyway, whatever kind of dumbed down lighter fluid they have in there, because it doesn't burn super bright, but these candles will burn a long time and they're not expensive. I recommend getting some of those. I bought 6 or 7 of them a couple years ago, and we've had to use them a few times as storms have knocked out the power here at the house or wherever I was living at the time. They've been very, very useful, and they're not expensive at all. You can just Google emergency 100-hour candles. And like I said, they had them at InfoWars, but a lot of the same places that sell the storm preparedness food, the MREs, also sell those kind of candles and these type supplies. And look, I know most of you are smart folks, you know this stuff, but hey, maybe you're busy, maybe you got a lot going on, maybe you've never lived through a storm before, and you're just not aware of some of the things you may need. Cash on hand. Always keep your little cash. Run by the ATM. The banks could go down. The internet could go down. Here's something that was brought to my attention earlier. One of my good friends lives in Belhaven. They're having some issues with their AT&T fiber, their internet down there. AT&T folks are on strike, and they said it could be weeks, months before his internet's fixed. He's having to switch over to C-Spire. So I say that to say this: you never know, if the power goes out, you can't use your debit card to do anything. Which, of course, I guess in theory, if you can't use your debit card to get gas, you probably can't use cash to get gas either, because it's not working. But if just the internet's down, for example, you wouldn't be able to use your debit card at some places to get gas. Just a thought. Keep a little cash. It ain't going to hurt you none. That's really about all I got as far as that goes. If you got a generator, I tell you, I just run an extension cord into the house with a power strip on it, plug in my Wi-Fi, my computer screen or TV, my phone charger, and a fan, refrigerator, deep freeze if you need it. Just depending on how long you think the power is going to be out. Again, I'm talking to rookies here. If you don't know, do not open your refrigerators and deep freezes if the power goes out. No more than you have to. Just it sounds very obvious, but it's easy to forget. You definitely want to keep all the cool in there for as long as you can. I don't know if this really works or not, but forever my parents have kept their batteries in freezers. So if you got some extra batteries laying around, to keep them in freezer, and that makes them last longer. Not necessarily once you put them in your device, but just their storage time, their shelf time. They'll last longer and stay charged longer. Again, old wives' tale. I don't know if there's ever been myth busted or not, but my parents always did it, so I do it. So there you go. If you ever break in my house and you want to steal my batteries, look in my freezer. All right, let's hit the update from WLBT. This was as of 3:30 p.m., so about 35 minutes ago, about an hour ago. I hadn't hit reload on this. Let's check out the weather, the most recent weather update. This is about 3 minutes long, and we'll end the video on this. So if you got all the information you need, I understand if you don't want to sit around and watch this. I do appreciate everybody tuning in again. You guys have really made my YouTube creating experience much better lately.
First alert weather days remain in place for central Mississippi Wednesday going into Thursday for the arrival of Francine, which will eventually bring us direct impacts here very shortly. We're already seeing some impacts that are in relation to Francine. On the far northern side of this system, we have moisture flowing in. That's why we have some showers right now to track on first alert Doppler radar. Nothing that's going to be very impactful, but if you live close to Highway 84, Highway 98 from Brookhaven out towards the Natchez area, Bude, Centerville, Woodville, you're probably going to need to pack the rain gear getting out the door to grab some lunch. It's not going to be, again, a complete downpour washout when it comes to this afternoon, but there are some showers nonetheless on radar as we start to see moisture increase out of the Gulf of Mexico. Now, Francine, the center of circulation, is still sitting off to our south and west. You can see a lot of thunderstorm activity and convection with the system is pretty displaced from the center of circulation, which is in the western Gulf. close to Brownsville, Texas, and portions of Mexico. But we're going to continue to see rain regardless increase from here on out when it comes to tonight and into tomorrow ahead of Francine's arrival. Francine, still a tropical storm, will become a hurricane here very soon. And we've actually seen some changes within Francine's forecast track just within the past several hours. Notice it's not making landfall as intense as a system. This is per the National Hurricane Center, maybe making landfall as now a Category 1 hurricane rather than a Category 2 hurricane out in maybe southeastern Louisiana, and then passing directly overhead, maybe weakening over time. We've also seen slight nudges eastward in its forecast track as well. That could be good news for central and southwest Mississippi, although there's still a lot of uncertainty if that would potentially play out in terms of its forecast track. When we're comparing outcomes with tropical systems and Francine in general, if we have the forecast track pass maybe on the western side of the area or directly overhead, that's going to bring the highest of impacts to our area that include flash flooding, heavy rain, strong winds, and the risk of tornadoes. But if we maybe continue to see more of an easterly nudge with the forecast track, which we have one forecast model suggesting that we'll see an update from the National Hurricane Center here within the next update. If we pass on the southeastern side or on the northwestern side of the area and the forecast track passes to our south, that lessens our local impacts. That would be good news for our area, but would heighten the severity of impacts for areas such as Alabama out towards the Mississippi Gulf Coast. There's still a lot of question marks if this would potentially happen, but it is something that we are closely watching. Regardless, I want you to be prepared for more of a westerly track if that does happen. Flash flooding, heavy rainfall, several inches of rain may fall within the next 48 hours. Also prepared for high and gusty winds, maybe tropical storm force winds, where we actually still have those tropical storm alerts still in effect, maybe upwards of 55 miles per hour, and maybe even a risk of brief spin-up tornadoes. It highly depends on the forecast track, so make sure you are checking back in for frequent updates, considering this forecast could be changing here over the next little bit. Outside right now, not too bad. We have the clouds increasing overhead. It's 82 degrees this afternoon. Tomorrow in the next couple of days, actually not too terribly hot with those first alert weather days in place, but thankfully our weather quickly improves.
Let's take a look at this real quick while we got it pulled up here. Tomorrow, 80% chance of rain. Thursday, 70% chance. And Friday clears on up for a beautiful weekend, a beautiful run of weather, all in the mid to low 80s. I guess it started getting up in the higher 80s towards the first of the week. Those lows look perfect, man. If you got a deck or a patio or outside plans this weekend, I don't know where our college football teams are playing, if they're at home or on the road, but man, that looks like perfect college football and of course high school football on Friday night weather right there. All right, I'll let them finish. Sorry, I just wanted to stop and take a look at that.
By Thursday night, Friday, and that should give way to a relatively quiet weekend ahead.
All right, guys, I appreciate you watching this. Share it with anybody. I didn't plan on it being a 20-minute video or 18-minute video, but hey, packed a lot of information in. Hope everybody stays safe. Hope this was a complete waste of a video and we didn't need any of this information and it's a big nothing sandwich and we dodged the bullet completely. Hopefully nobody loses their power and all that stuff. Y'all stay safe. Bring your pets inside. Don't leave them out. Of course, y'all know that. If you're watching this channel, you good people. I don't have to tell you that.